Hello everyone, welcome to English Gyan. This is Shivajish Das. In today's video, we shall discuss the poem My Mother is 66 by Kamala Das. It's a very interesting poem and it's prescribed for class 12 students. So, before you start, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. So, first of all, let's discuss a bit about the poet. It was composed by Kamala Das. Kamala Das, she was born on 31st March 1934 and she passed away on 31st May 2009. Kamala Das is also known as Madhavikutti. It's her pen name and she has written a number of short stories and poems in Malayalam using this pen name. She is an Indian poet and she was born in Kerala. She is a very famous South Indian poet and she is renowned all over the world, especially in India, for her notable works. She is known for her originality, versatility and flavor of the soil. Her works have a very original tone to them and she is a very versatile writer. Her works have huge versatility, means you will find variations in her works, and she has a flavor of the soil, means in her works you will get an Indian touch. In many of her writings you will experience yourself the Indian touch to it, and she captures the human relationships. In most of her works you will see that there is a strong feeling of human relationships. There is a beautiful description about the human relationships. So this is all that we have to know about Kamala Das. So, coming to the poem, this poem, My Mother at 66, is a beautifully written poem by Kamala Das in which she describes her fear of losing her mother. It's a very common thing that we as children, we have a huge fear of losing our parents. We are very much attached to them, and though we try to get this thought out of our mind that our parents are aging and maybe sooner or later we are going to lose them, because aging is a natural process and the ultimate result of this aging is death. We hardly accept it, but it's the bitter truth, and every child, every grown-up child has this fear or passes through this fear that he or she is going to lose his or her parents sooner or later. So in this poem also, the poet Kamala Das, she is having the fear that she might lose her mother, whom she realizes that she has gotten old, and the ultimate result of this aging will be death. So without wasting any time, so let's start and let's see how beautiful this poem is. My mother is 66. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, doze, open-mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. So here the poet Kamala Das is describing the incident where she and her mother were traveling to the airport. She was supposed to go somewhere from her parents' home and she was traveling with her mother. Her mother was supposed to drop her off to the airport from where she was supposed to go to Cochin. So while traveling, she was sitting beside her mother and she looked at her. It's a very common thing that sometimes we fail to look at our parents. Even though we look at them, but we don't realize that what they are going through. So similarly here, Kamala Das, she might have seen her mother many a times, but at that moment she carefully observed her mother. She carefully saw her mother and she realized that my mother has grown old. And when she realized that her mother had grown old, a feeling of sorrow came into her heart, because she felt that now my mother has grown old, so she is very near to her death. There is no guarantee, there is no surety, there is no clarity whether she will survive many years. Who knows, I might not be able to see her again. So this was the feeling that was going through her mind. So the initial lines are that, driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning. She was driving from her parents' home, means she was traveling by car and she was going to Cochin, and that was a Friday morning. Okay, that was a Friday morning. She and her mother, both of them were driving. They were traveling by car, and Kamala Das was supposed to go to Cochin. and both of them were going to the airport. Okay, her mother was supposed to drop her off to the airport as Kamala Das was supposed to go to coaching. At that moment, what Kamala Das saw, I saw my mother beside me. At that time, she saw that her mother was sitting beside her. She was sitting near her. And what was she doing? What was Kamala Das's mother doing? She was dozing. She saw that, Kamala Das saw that her mother was dozing. I think most of you know what is doze. Here doze means to remain in a sleepy state, okay, to remain in a sleepy condition. And how she was sleeping? She was dozing open mouthed. We might have noticed that it's very common in a bit aged people. Whenever they doze or whenever they sleep, they sometimes keep their mouth open. It's very common in some aged people. So Kamala Das's mother was also dozing and her mouth was open. Her face ashen like that of a corpse. Here Kamala Das brings a simile. She compares her mother's face with a corpse. We all know that a corpse is a dead body. Here Kamala Das was comparing her mother's face with a corpse. She felt that her mother's face was ashen, means it was colorless. It had turned pale. There was no color in it whatsoever, because we see that people in their youth, people whenever they are in their youth, there is a vibrant energy in them. There is vibrant colors in their face. Though it might not be visible, but it seems that there is life in their face. But when people turn old, when people age, this vibrancy, this color suddenly turns fade. So she also realized the same thing. She felt that her mother's face was ashen. It had become colorless, and she compared that colorless face of her mother with a corpse, because in a corpse also its face will be colorless, its face will be a bit pale, it will be not that much vibrant, it will seem that there is no blood, there is no color in that face. So similarly she felt that her mother's face was so dull, it had turned so pale that it seemed like a corpse. So she is using this simile here, that she is comparing her mother's face with that of a corpse. And then she realized one thing. She said that, and realized with pain. At that point of time, she realized something. And that realization, it was not a happy realization, it was a sorrowful realization. That realization brought about some pain in her. What did she realize? She realized that she was as old as she looked. Again, she felt that her mother, she realized that her mother was as old as she looked. Means she saw that her mother was old, and she got the feeling that yes, the way I am looking at my mother, the way she seems to be old, she is actually that much old. It means to say that she felt the pain that no, now I am missing that youthful mother, which I always used to have a vision of, that my mother is a symbol of youth, she is a very vibrant lady, but now I have realized that my mother has really grown old. This thought actually brought about a negativity in her. She was a bit pessimistic, because she felt that as my mother has grown old, so she is gradually stepping towards that ultimate, that bitter truth, which is death. But as all of us do, that whenever negative thoughts come to our mind, we try to divert our mind. Similarly, Kamala Das also tried to divert her mind. She tried to look outside. So what did she do? But soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spinning out of their homes. So in order to divert her mind, she began to look out of the window. As they were driving, as they were on their way to the airport, so she could see the sceneries outside. So what did she do? But soon put that thought away. She wanted to put that thought away, and that thought is the thought of the aging of her mother. She wanted to get that thought out of her mind. She wanted to get that thought that her mother is getting old. She wanted to get it out of her mind completely. So in order to do that, she looked outside, and what did she look? She saw that, looked out at young trees sprinting. Here she saw outside that young trees were sprinting. We all know that sprinting means to run. She saw that Young trees means very not so old trees. These trees they were sprinting. Now we are very much used to this situation that whenever we travel by any vehicle, we feel that the trees are sprinting. We feel that the trees are sprinting. They are running very fast. So similarly, she saw that the young trees were sprinting. So this image has been used to convey the message about time. When Kamala says that young trees were sprinting, she means that she could feel that time was running. Here, young trees, it refers to time. She could feel that time was running very fast. Like the trees were sprinting, like those young trees were sprinting. Similarly, she felt that as those trees were sprinting, time was also sprinting. Means those trees were running very fast. Similarly, time was running very fast. It was going out of her hand, and the faster the time moved, the faster her mother will grow old. The moving of time means that her mother will also grow very old, and that too very soon. She felt that time was running out of her hand, and which indicates that her mother was growing old, and with the passage of time her mother will keep on growing and she will be getting old, and after getting old the ultimate truth will be her death, and that will be her ultimate faith. So she also saw the merry children spilling out of their homes. Another thing which she noticed was the merry children. She noticed that some children which were very merry, which were very happy. Generally, children are very happy. Children are the symbol of joy. Children are the symbol of happiness. Children are the symbol of merriness. So, these merry children, they were spilling out of their homes, means they were coming out of their homes. So, this is also indicative of age. These merry children are a symbol of youth. They are a symbol of joy. So, Kamala Das noticed those children, and she kept on thinking about her mother's old age. She kept on thinking how her mother has been getting older and older, and how that growing age of her mother is taking her to her final destiny, that is death, and she has a constant fear of losing her mother. So in this way, both of them traveled to the airport. So after reaching the airport, as is the protocol, they had to go through the security check. So after the security check, what happened? So let's have a look. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, one pale as a late winter snow. So what happened is that after the security check of the airport, both of them were standing a few yards away from each other. They were standing a bit apart, means Kamala Das and her mother, they were standing a bit away from each other. Here it's referred a few yards. Here yard is a unit of length. So both of them were standing a few yards away from each other. At that point, Kamala Das again looked at her mother. You must remember, first time she looked at her mother while both of them were driving to the airport. And the next time when she again looked at her mother thoroughly was after the security check, after the airport security check. So then she again noticed something. So what did she notice? Let's have a look. I looked again at her. When she looked at her mother again, she realized that her mother was one pale. One pale means colorless. One is also colorless, and pale is also whitish, colorless. Means again she realized that her mother's face was colorless. Means it lacked the glow, the vibrant joy that is very much present in a youthful face. But her mother's face lacked that joy, or lacked that vibrant glow. So her mother's face was very much wan and pale. And she again used a simile here. She compared her mother's face to the late winter's moon. It's a very beautiful comparison. Let's see. We all know that a late winter's moon, it's not very much clear. We all know that moon is very much beautiful to us. It seems very much beautiful to us, and it has a very vibrant glow. But in winter, or in the later half of the winter, we see that the moon is not very much clear to us, because the sky is very much foggy. Due to this foggy environment, due to this foggy weather, the moon is not visible completely to us, so its glow, its vibrant radiance is not very much visible to us. It kind of hides the vibrant radiance of the moon. Similarly, she felt that her mother's face was also like a late winter's moon, means that old age had somehow hidden her mother's real glow. That old age was acting just like the fog which had hidden the glow of the moon. Similarly, her mother's old age was also kind of hiding the real glow of her mother, that vibrant face of her mother. So she compared that her mother's face was as a late winter's moon. So she does all this just because she has a fear. She feels that my mother is getting old, and with getting old, she is gradually stepping towards the final destination, that is death. She felt a pain in her heart. She could feel something choking her from inside. So let's have a look what she said. And felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear, but all I said was, see you soon, Amma. All I did was smile and smile and smile. So after looking at her mother and comparing her to the late winter's moon, she felt a pain inside her. And felt that old familiar ache. Here ache means pain. She felt a pain, and that pain was very familiar. It was a very relatable pain. That pain was known to her. She knew it from her childhood only. Here she means to say that right from her childhood she had a fear in her mind. She had a pain in her mind that if I lose my mother, what will happen? This fear is very much present in every child. Even if we grow older, we have the fear of losing our mother. So similarly, Kamala Das also has a familiar pain. She says that when she looked at her mother and realized that she was getting old, she felt an ache, and that ache was very much familiar. She knew that ache right from her childhood. So she says that, and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. That pain was due to her childhood's fear, means she had a fear from her childhood, and that fear was nothing but of losing her mother. It might have happened to you also when we were very much young, and if we had to go somewhere with our mother, and if for a few seconds she left our hand, we felt very scared. We felt that we might lose our mother. So similarly, Kamala Das also mentions that she had a fear right from her childhood that she might lose her mother, and today, when she looked at her mother in such a condition that she had grown so old, she felt that fear, that known fear, that familiar ache, that familiar fear which she had right from her childhood, and that gave her very much pain. She felt very sorry. But all I said was, see you soon, Amma. It happens sometimes that whenever we are very sad or whenever we are full of emotions, we fail to express that, or we don't want to express our emotions. So similar thing happened with her. Not tell her mother that you have grown old, I might lose you, I am afraid, that I am scared that I might lose you, but she only smiled. So what did she do? And all I said was, see you soon, Amma. She said nothing to her mother. She said absolutely nothing, but she said only one thing, see you soon, Amma. Means, I hope that we shall meet again very soon. And that was nothing but an optimistic hope from her. All of us, we don't know, actually no, there is no guarantee, there is no surety that whether we will meet tomorrow. But we all live on a hope. We feel that no, we always try to remain positive, we always try to remain optimistic about things. We try and hope in the positive way. Similarly, Kamala Das, she also sent out a positive message to her mother. She told her mother that, see you soon, Amma, means I am going to meet you very soon. We are going to have an interaction very soon. We are going to come face to face very soon. It means that she was hoping that her mother will survive. She will remain alive and they will meet very soon. All I did was smile and smile and smile. And Kamala Das could do nothing else, but she only smiled and smiled and smiled. Here, she says that she was only smiling because smiling is such a thing, or smile is such a thing that which is very mysterious at times. No, whenever we have a lot to say, whenever we have a lot of emotions inside us, but we fail to express them, we just put a smile on her lips. So Kamala Das, she also did the same thing. She just smiled at her mother, and that smile was actually, it was out of sorrow as well as out of optimism. She was she felt sorrow because she thought that she might not be able to meet her mother again, because as her mother was getting old, who knows, she might not be able to survive with that many years or that many days. But she was also hopeful of the fact that she might be able to meet her mother again, and that smile was actually a mixed smile. It was out of sorrow as well as a ray of hope that they will meet again. So this is the poem. So this poem is basically about human relationships, about the bonding of a mother and her daughter, and it's also about the fear of death. We are very much concerned about our close ones, and we feel and we are very scared of losing them. So this poem describes beautifully the emotions that go through a daughter when she realizes that her mother has grown old and is on the verge of death. So I hope that you all were able to understand the poem very well. If you have any queries, if you have any doubts, please leave your questions in the comment section below. Keep learning and keep watching the videos. Thank you.